Hi, welcome to the award-winning Ed Brown Show. And you know, finance, that's the thing we're talking about. You know, always, finance is the backbone of anything. And we have Orlando Darden here. He's from the First Financial Securities Incorporated. Now, you know what I always say about finance, you have to get involved in it. You have to expose your family, your children, everybody in it. So what we're going to do, we're going to have Orlando here tell us a little something about financing. Then we're going to get involved in his organization. Then we're going to get involved in an article that was in Smithsonian about getting the young people into the financial world. Hey, Orlando.
Mr. Brown, it's a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for having me on your show.
I tell you, we've already had one show.
I think we have already. It was a warm-up to this show. It was a warm-up.
This is a warm-up for this show.
That's correct.
But the idea is that that word financial, tell us a little bit about it and how the young people should get involved in it. I think you gave an excellent example about the dinner table, and financial success is based on continuation.
Correct. Just a short on finance, I've had the privilege of being in finance for over 25 years, and I've had the also privilege to serve wealthy individuals in my career of 25 years in finance. And I got to see how wealth was actually in action. In other words, in other communities, and learn from those experiences there. And now, with the company that I'm with now, First Financial Security, which is very earmarked on making sure that we change the face of not only finance but insurance, and that basically means helping minorities, people of color, to basically empower themselves. If you want to be able to participate meaningfully and thrive in the 21st century, more than ever, having financial education, creating financial stability, creating financial empowerment could not be more important, and not only for people of my generation, the baby boomer generation, but even generations earlier, the millennials and the Gen Ys and all the other alphabet generations that are out there. So it's my mission and our mission with the company here is to be financial educators. Go into the communities, whether they be churches, whether they be organizations, wherever we can go and speak to people and really have what traditionally has been a discussion at the dinner table or maybe at the sports club about finance, understanding the value of putting monies in vehicles that will allow you to accumulate them over time so that you can create wealth not only for yourself, but also you can create it for your children and the next generation and continue to perpetuate that. That conversation has not happened in our community. What I'm a part of and I'm very passionate about, and what our company in particular is very passionate about, is really reaching now to people who have not had that access to information, really not only stimulating that conversation, but making sure that it becomes an integral part about how we live.
Now that's the key, stimulate. People get stimulated to do certain things. How do you stimulate a person to get involved in the economy, get in the financial aspect in which they're living and they're supporting? Now, you mentioned one area there with the churches.
Yes.
Now, I think, and I think most of us always know that you talk about corporation, that's the greatest corporation that minorities have.
Right.
They have made more gains in the churches than any other type of business.
Right.
Why is it that they can't really organize themselves to get into the real business world? That's the everyday finances.
The everyday finances, I think, again, it goes back to information, and what I mean by that is that finance for many years has been before the internet, relatively inaccessible. And as we were speaking about earlier, you had to be in a certain community, you had to be of a certain club or knowledge or whatever.
Yeah.
There were days where there were brokerage houses downtown, and you had to, just like people walk into a bank branch today, you had to walk into a brokerage, you had to have a relationship with a stockbroker or person of that nature, and they were able to impart information about how to invest, where to invest, and help you to build a portfolio that you could grow your money over time. The internet has liberalized that information now. Nowadays, anyone with a minimum curiosity, thanks to Google and other search engines.
That's my favorite.
It's a lot of people's favorite.
Google.
Now have the opportunity to learn for themselves. Everything from simple, how do I start saving for a child's education? How do I save for retirement, things of that nature. Now, with information doesn't mean that it's necessarily knowledge, because you have to be able to filter fact from fiction. Okay.
That's the key.
That's the key, fact from fiction, but it's a start. People now can open up accounts online, but here's where my value and our company value is added, and that is that we represent individuals that may look like the people that we're communicating with, in helping them to understand that it doesn't take a lot to get started, but you have to get started with, the earlier you start, the easier it is for you to build money over time. You can start late in life, late meaning in your 50s or 60s, and still even build a reasonable retirement nest egg. But the key is to get started and to understand that it's not, you don't have to have a lot of money to get started, you just have to get started. The sooner you start, the better your opportunities to build wealth over time.
Well, that's what most people fail to realize. Okay, if they get involved in type of investment, well, I don't have enough to invest, to really make enough money. So what I'm going to do is go out here and get something like that beautiful car or home or whatever.
Depreciating assets.
Right. And so that satisfies their bid to get into the financial world where they can be able to leave something for the children and the grandchildren.
The problem with what they're leaving are depreciating assets. As we know, the moment a car is rolled off a lot, even one of the most luxurious cars, it immediately depreciates in value. Okay. Whereas if you teach a person that, whether it's one of the ways that people can start empowering themselves, even at a very young age, is when they go is at their job. Their employer by law is required to offer them what's known as a 401k plan, where they can put money in systematically from their paycheck. So it's passive investing. You don't have to think about it. It goes into your savings account. It goes into your account and accumulates over time in what's known as a tax-deferred manner. Tax-deferred, for those who are not familiar with it, is that the monies that the government basically is saying that you can put money away and not have to pay taxes on it for purposes of retirement until such time that you take the money out, typically at retirement.
Sound like the president-elect to me.
How about that? Well, that's I'm trying to impart some of his wisdom so people understand how they're going to better participate in our new, let's say, our new presidential world that we all are going to be in at this point. So again, Mr. Brown, it's really about empowering people through education. Again, letting them know that it's not as daunting to get started. Even if you're at a later age, you just have to know what tools are available, how to do it, and that's where myself as an advisor, I'm very passionate about taking that knowledge that I have used
for
to help
25 years.
Exactly, help
somebody else.
People who were more enabled, to help people who have the resources, but understand that a lottery ticket is not creating wealth. A car or
instant. They feel that that's instant wealth,
and you know what?
And they don't have to wait 20 years for it to mature.
But the statistics show two things. That is, to win the lottery is a greater odd that you'll win, almost greater than becoming drafted into the NBA.
Say that again, please.
Yes.
Real loud.
The odds against winning the lottery are more steep than the odds of you potentially, and even though these are incredibly difficult odds for you to become a star player in the NBA. But a lot of people use that, understandably, as a vehicle to try to create wealth. The other statistic on the other side is that within 5 years, even people who won millions of dollars in the lottery, they've lost it all. Because here are the things that we help to teach and what I help to teach. Number one, you can have money, but if you don't know what to do with it, you will lose it. You see that all the time.
There's always somebody out there waiting for you.
With these athletes who make millions of dollars. These guys coming from less information, all of a sudden they're overwhelmed with celebrity and money and contracts, and they think it's all the money in the world. Next thing you know, between lawsuits, bad investments, things of that nature, they can lose millions of dollars and be broke. And what my passion is, what our goal is, empowerment, education, how to help you to understand how to accumulate money, how to preserve it, and how to transfer it intergenerationally. In other words, making sure that at your death or before your death, you have monies that you can now help your children to not only fund their college education, but in a responsible way. I'm not saying just give them a trust fund and that they can go and be reckless with, but help them to have maybe some support money to get their first home. It's happening in other communities, and that's how these kids are able to start at a younger age and create wealth sooner than let's say the minority communities are, because they understand that it's been an intergenerational. That's an example of intergenerational transfer of wealth, knowledge, and not only knowledge but also resources, knowing what to do in terms of creating assets, and also knowing how to impart those resources to your kids so that they can in turn be able to empower themselves. You don't see their parents necessarily going out buying cars. They're buying condos. They're buying maybe single-family homes or some opportunity for that same
investment.
Yes, exactly, investment. That is an appreciating asset that allows them not only to have something that's going to increase in value, but also when they sell it, they will be able to take full advantage of the profits, hopefully, and be able to roll that into further investments, whether it be their home, their business, or whatever the case might happen to be.
Well, how do you get them to form financial groups? I've thought about that, and and the only thing, I always come back to the church, because every Sunday people are putting money in the plate. Why can't you have an organization? You can call it a bank, you can call it a credit union or whatever, where individuals that are putting money into the churches are putting money into the, I would say, the get-rich-quick project, like the lottery.
Yes.
How can you change the attitude of the individuals to think that way?
I'll give you a perfect example.
Okay.
What we're doing right here. Your program goes out to many viewers. Providing education, whatever pulpit you happen to have advantage of. This television program, the churches historically have been the resource for the African American community for information and awareness.
Yes, right.
And what we're doing is reaching out to pastors in the area to where they control large organizations of parishioners, and basically encouraging them to enable us to come in and provide financial education, whether it's social clubs or whatever the case might happen to be. Our goal is to reach out far, reach down deep. In other words, reach down deep in terms of younger generations. The young people have to understand. Young people, by definition, meaning those who just left college, they're beginning their career. I remember when I left my alma mater, Howard University.
Yeah.
You thought you were making all the money in the world. The last thing you thought about was retirement. You just were all of a sudden making some money. You got credit card offers in the mail, so you wanted to live like an adult, and found out that that came at a steep price. Education, to the degree, even at the college level, making sure that kids, as they leave college, understand financial responsibility. I have my job. I need to set up my savings account, not apply for credit cards that are going to put me in a vicious financial cycle, especially if I'm already having to service my student loans that got me into college. I need to create credit. Strong credit gives me financial empowerment. Cost of borrowing is less, whether it's for a car, whether it's for insurance, whether it's for a mortgage for a home. The more damaged our credit happens to be, the more expensive or impossible borrowing happens to be. Credit is critical, not only as a reference point of your character as employers and businesses look at, but also as a means for you to participate in the economy. It's a credit-driven economy. Okay, so understanding how to use it, how to access it, and how to use it responsibly is empowering. And that's where, again, our financial education, my financial education, is in reaching out to people and helping them to understand at that very fundamental level. You understand credit, you understand putting money away on a tax-deferred, tax-free basis, doing that as early as you can, doing it systematically. That helps you to create wealth.
Okay, what helps to get a person to think that way? Just like in my day, I would say, the idea was basically to go to college, get a degree, work 40 years, and get a gold watch, and retire. Now, that is antique.
That is antique.
And what the youngsters have to realize, and most of them benefit from it, from the comfortable living that the 9-to-5 people have made for them.
Yes. That's
now,
right.
How do you get around that, because you have people, they've made it easy for the youngsters. In other words, they have cars, they have all the amenities, big house and all of that. How do you get them thinking in terms of their financial future? Not waiting for mom and pops to pass so they get the house.
One of the key ways is to let them appreciate the time value of money. The younger you are, the less expensive it is to create a large sum of money, even relatively early. And I'll give you an example. Life insurance. We're going to die one day. We have that's inevitability, and you're not too young.
No doubt about it.
You're not. There you go. You're not too young to start thinking about it. One of the things I consult with, and we do at our company, is that we help people to understand how to smartly take advantage of what's known as the new life insurance. Basically, where you're able to, if you're young, your premiums.
When you say you want to young, I mean
young. Let's say in your 20s.
In
your 20s, you're just starting your career. Making sure that that think in terms of borrowing costs fundamentally, and also the cost of insurance will be significantly less because, number one, you're less of a risk to a company. Number one, you're young, so that means theoretically you're going to be healthier. Number two, you are able to, as a result, take advantage of getting lower rates on the cost of insurance that you can. Insurance is a wonderful vehicle in the sense that for a little bit of money, you can build a large estate. For example, someone who happens to be in their 20s and they're in good health, they may be able to, for a minimum of, let's say, $50, $70 per month, have $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 life insurance policy that can carry them the rest of their life and grow tax deferred in terms of the cash accumulation portion of the account, and allow them to create wealth so that they can have money to pass on to their relatives, whether it be their family members or whatever, at their death. One of the things that we happen to do and teach, which is not taught out there, is that there's also living benefits in life insurance, and that's something that our company in particular focuses on, and that is
tell us about it.
I'm going to tell you about that.
Right.
We ask you, do you have the old insurance or do you have the new insurance? The new insurance basically offers living benefits. That's what makes it new. People typically think of life insurance as, I got to die in order for it to pay out, and I won't be around in order to take advantage of it. I'm doing the responsible thing, but it's still one of the things that it's difficult for me to part with. I have to die one day. It's an admission I have to die one day, and I won't be around to take advantage of it. Living benefits basically address the fact that even in the course of living, even with our best attempts, we may be critically, chronically, or terminally ill. So right now, we need to have abilities to have monies that can help to fund these costs of our hopeful rehabilitation back to good health. Medicare, the medical health care, as we know it today, we'll see how the Affordable Care Act, is also known as Obamacare, what it will look like in the President Trump administration then. But fundamentally, healthcare costs are rising and they're more expensive. So if one of the keys that have resulted in bankruptcy for families is medical costs, because they either don't have the insurance, they lost a job, don't have adequate insurance. So what we help you to do is to create a way that you can fund one of these potential issues that happen in your life, becoming critically ill, chronically ill, or terminally ill. Terminally ill meaning you have 2 years to live.
Right. Okay. Well, what is the young audience out there? They're thinking in terms of okay, the parent themselves, they say, well, I want to make sure that John or Mary, get more than I had, and make sure they get a degree and things of that nature. But the fact that education is out of sight, the young people, they're ending up with $150,000 student loan problems.
Correct.
And then they're running into the fact that they don't have any experience for I call it CEO position. And so how are they going to get rid of this noose around their neck and get into the financial world when they have difficulty in qualifying for the jobs?
Becoming two answers to that, Mr. Brown. Becoming financially educated. What I mean by that is going to work, as you very appropriately expressed, going to work. Universities, based on the previous model, basically had train people to go to work for other people and earn a salary. Okay, and for a while that worked. Mm-hmm. Now that we're in the 21st century, that's becoming even more challenging, even if you're a physician, as I speak to my colleagues who are physicians and lawyers, because again, technology has changed the way the businesses operate. So what now needs to happen, even at the university level, even at the high school level, I would say, is educating people on the value of the dollar, understanding how to put the money and invest it. Savings is one aspect of empowering yourself, but also investing. Investing is taking advantage of growth. In other words, putting reasonably some of your money at risk, meaning that it would be in a stock-based investment, but allowing it to grow over time depending on what your time frame is. One of the things I help to educate people on is that they can grow their money without taking the traditional risk of being in the stock market and things of that nature,
right?
And do it in a tax-deferred, tax-free manner.
Well, tell us how you do that. Well, a lot of people want to know.
A lot of people want to know. One of the things that I help with my clients here is that we offer them what's known as an index universal life insurance policy. What that basically means is, and you were mentioning it, your son happens to work at Standard & Poor's 500, the company, which is a rating agency. What these policies do is that they allow you to have a life insurance policy with the benefit, the death benefit, but also living benefits. But the key here is that instead of your monies in the cash account being invested in stocks, whether it's ExxonMobil, whether it's IBM, whether it's Microsoft, going, ebbing and flowing with how those stocks do in the market, these companies, these insurance companies, will pay you what's known as credits. Credits that will mirror the performance, in this instance, of the Standard & Poor's 500 index. Wealthy people have protected their money over time because they understood the power of getting returns on their money without taking unnecessary risks. So if you're able to put your money in an indexed type of vehicle which mirrors the performance without being in the market, then you protect your money. You participate in the upside of the market. What these policies allow you to do, or these financial vehicles allow you to do, is when the market goes down, you have the opportunity to protect your downside gain, protect your monies from losses in the market. If you're in a stock investment, if the market goes up, you make money. If the market goes down, you lose money. In the last couple of financial challenges that we faced in 2008 and even a little bit more recently, people have lost a lot of money because they were in equity-based investments, whether they be in mutual funds that invest in stocks or be in stocks outright, even in their company. So helping people to understand that they can put monies, they can still grow their monies, but not without being directly in equity or risk-based investments.
Well, they need professional advice on that.
Correct.
See, this is the thing that people make mistake, is that they try to analyze the market themselves, and really that's tough, because the terms equity, different terms that you utilize,
so many terms,
you have to know what they mean.
You have to know what they mean. It's almost as if we don't try to be a doctor. We don't try to be a surgeon on ourselves. We just turn it over.
You go to the doctor.
And it's a matter of building trust. Certainly building trust is a very big issue in the community, and making sure that you can go to a reputable person, a reputable company. And that's something that I work very hard to maintain is integrity and a strong reputation and helping people, because you're doing something that's very personal to them. This is their money. They're working hard for it. You want to make sure that you protect it, that you educate them. I'm a believer in educating people. I don't want you just to come to me for advice. I want you to become educated in the process. Why are we doing this? How does this make sense? So again,
when am I going to get some dividends?
Exactly.
See, this is the thing, youngsters look at different things, and dividends mean one thing to some people, and other people it means something else. Because dividends to some people mean this is money that I've made that I can go out and either invest or spend. To other people, dividends mean, hey, this is money I can make another investment on something else to make me money for the future.
Using your point, two ways to look at dividends in that instance will be again, it's an opportunity to reinvest, to buy more shares of an investment. The other side, especially in retirement, people are living off their dividend income.
Yeah,
it's a source of income.
Yeah.
What I'm doing is, again, helping people to understand wealth creation is a time value feature, meaning that, speaking to the young people, the sooner you get started, again, you have to anticipate you probably one day will decide to have a family.
Right.
Okay. Even if you don't decide,
that's more money.
That's exactly. The costs continue to escalate even beyond
each kid is more money
beyond our imagination.
Right.
There's a chance, even a healthy person, that you could become ill. How are you going to fund that? How are you going to protect it? That has ruined so many people's financial lives because they did not have the proper vehicles in place to make sure.
Well, setting that up, your company does that. Set that up. Look at the potential of a person, and then give them advice about which way to go as far as the market concerned. With that, we're going to be wrapping this up. When you finish that, I want you to talk about this Smithsonian article that I let you read. It just came out where a young man was very successful. Okay.
Yes, the article that I happened to read is about a young man, and basically he's 25, I believe, years old, and the story is very interesting in the sense that it incorporates three key concepts, and it creates empowerment. This young man came from let's say, not a silver spoon environment, but he realized there was a problem. A problem was that he was trying to figure out, how do I get ahead in life? How do I make something of myself? So what he did from that was he empowered himself by going to the library, the traditional library, thing we don't see, that we don't see anymore.
People use.
Exactly, and he self-educated himself as a foundation to help empower him from a knowledge standpoint, so that he could then generate ideas. Reading, I'm a big fan of readers. They say leaders are readers. So any leader has to be a good reader, because reading does several things. It helps you to
well quickly. What about the problem that he had and solving the problem? Most of us have a difficult time in getting startup money. Money. Now, we only got a few seconds here, but tell us about setting yourself up for startup money in business.
Setting yourself up can come in several ways. There are the traditional banks, where you have to go through a pretty arduous process.
A regular process.
Yes, arduous process. Also, there are various levels of private investor money. Angel investors who will give you a small amount of money in order for you to take advantage. You see some of the more popular shows which represent some more of the traditional ways that technology companies in particular are raising money, like Shark Tank, for example.
Shark Tank.
Shark Tank, exactly. Okay. That's a whole community of what's known as venture capital investors who have private money.
So what is your advice to the young people as far as Shark Tank and these other groups that are out there trying to get financial aid? We only have a few seconds. We need more time on this finance, because it tells you basically what you have to do. You got to get in the financial world. See you next time.